Hi there, I'm Barbara Solomon with the Gresham Art Committee, and this is our reception for the Outside the Box show on August 27th, 2019. And right now I have artist Barbara Good with me.
Hi.
Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you.
Yes, and this is the first
Thank
time
you.
you've entered into one of our shows, is that correct?
It is, yes.
Well, we love your work, and I'd like
Thank you.
to ask you about the piece Starry Portland.
Yes.
What media is that?
That is watercolor, and I just love Portland, and I've been dabbling in watercolors just for the last 3 or 4 years.
Great. Now you have another piece, and
do.
that's kind of a Salvador Dali kind of inspirational piece.
It is. It's
Is-
like his droopy clocks, only nowadays with this modern technology with selfie sticks and all kinds of computer things and stuff. I thought I would just do a takeoff on that.
Well, that's great. Is that also watercolor?
That's watercolor and ink.
ink. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
watercolor and ink.
So how long have you been dabbling in the arts?
Well, I guess you can say I started out when I was a kid doing crayon on the wall.
Oh, okay.
Only I had a great mom, and instead of yelling at me and making it scrub it off, she drew a frame around it and inspired me to do that. And then I just dropped it all and let it go for dirty diapers and dirty dishes for 30 years, you know, and now grandbabies and everything. And I just decided that I needed to do something to relax. I'm a care provider for cognitively delayed adults. And when I get home, I just like to relax. And so that's how I do it.
Oh, well, terrific. Well, we're so glad that you found the Gresham Art Committee and have entered into our exhibits and shows.
I am too. This is a whole new experience for me.
Oh, great.
So.
We're now with Dominique Fatowski. Dominique, welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us about this painting. What inspired you to do this? I know it's not a painting. Tell us about this.
It's digital.
Okay.
Well, my wife, she sent me the flyer for the submissions, and I was like, oh, that would be kind of cool to do. So I was thinking, and then I looked at outside the box. What could I do, really? So I kept thinking and drawing things out, and then one day it hit me. I'm going to do a tree that have arms and call it Craving, because, I mean, it has so many different meanings to it. So and I did it digitally. Just because I'm familiar with it. I'm a 3D artist, so I do digital paintings and 3D models and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. It's very unusual, but it's quite unique and intriguing.
I am unusual.
So you're outside the box then. You're perfect.
I am.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing this type of artwork?
Well, I went to Mount Hood, got my associates in computer game design, and then I graduated with my associates, and then year later, I was like, well, I think I'm going to go for my bachelor's, and I went to Art Institute. And I was the last graduating class. Yeah. And I got my degree in game design and art. So I kind of do the dark. I like the dark side of things, so
Okay, so
creepy.
what inspires you then? Because this is kind of dark. I mean, just the color, the hands are beautiful, but what inspires you?
I like a lot of horror.
Okay.
Horror and just things that are unusual. Creepy things, I guess you could say.
Oh, okay. Well, you
Yeah.
might like our next show is Myth and Magic.
Yes, I'm planning on putting something in together.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Is this the first time you've been in an art show like this?
Yes.
Oh, good. Well, I'm so glad that you found the Gresham Art Committee.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
I've been here, lived here since 2007. I didn't even know about it until just recently. Yeah.
Well, we look forward to seeing more of your submissions in other shows.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, great. I'm here with Gigi Mateko. She's one of our artists, and thank you for coming today and being part of the show and being
you.
part of the reception. So the pieces that you've done, apparently there's a little glare on them right now, but could you tell me about them? What's the media that you use for these pieces?
Yeah, so the medium I use is actually a water-based pastel. Most people know pastels with oil, but water-based pastels actually give you the ability to layer and create movement within the actual medium. And so my inspiration for almost all my pieces is really the power of three. And so if you look closely inside, you'll see a variety of threes in shapes and in colors.
Wow, that's terrific. So how long have you been dabbling in the arts?
Oh gosh, I have been doing art pretty much all my life, but I really got drawn to this medium about 4 years ago, and I've had some commissions to do some work for a variety of nonprofits, and so that's kind of how I got into it and inspired to kind of reach out and do a little bit more on my own.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, thanks for being part of our show again. And what
Thank you.
drew you to the Gresham Art Committee? What made you decide to enter this show?
Yeah, so I'm relatively new to Portland, but my mother is an artist here, and she's shown many times, and she actually sent me the outside the box and thought that my art might fit the theme this time. So happy to be here and be a part of this.
Oh, terrific. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us today. Hi, I'm here with Kristen Caldwell, and this is her piece right behind us. It's a lovely piece. Can you tell us about it?
Sure, absolutely. It's called On Behalf of Love, and it's a mixed media collage. So it's made mostly out of recycled children's books and other print materials, and then also acrylic. And it's kind of symbolic of living under a banner and how flags can both unite us and divide us.
Oh, okay. So then where did you find the inspiration from this? I mean, it sounds like there's something that's close to your heart behind it.
It is. So I'm a person of faith. I'm a Christian, and thinking through the welcoming of the LGBTQ community into the church, and we just talk about that a lot in our community, and so that's been on my heart a lot lately.
Oh, well, it's beautiful. So how long have you been doing artwork?
Forever, but this is my first gallery exhibition. So.
Well, I'm so pleased that you were able to come and show it here.
Thank you.
Yeah, so about how long does it take to create something like that?
This took about 3.5 months.
Oh, wow, yeah. So do you have other pieces that you're working on? You work on this a little bit, set it aside, and then go back to it?
I usually focus on one piece pretty solidly at a time. Mm-hmm. It's kind of all-consuming for a little while until it's really finished, and then I'll wait for a new idea.
Oh, okay,
so,
great.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to share about this piece or your work in general?
I just love art, and it's just a way that I can express myself, release, let go, and also process ideas.
Oh, great. Well, thanks so much for being part of our show.
Thank you.
I'm here with Bogdan Gurgay.
Hello.
Sorry.
That's okay, no problem.
He does sculptures. You've entered in our shows before, but tell us, what's your inspiration for these things? They're wonderful.
I get inspiration from everything. Just this is a DNA, a representation of a DNA, and this is a eagle flying, a bird flying. Mm-hmm. So it can be simple as just like a bird flying, or something more complex, and just everyday stuff that inspires me, what I feel at the time, or something that I'm working on, like mentally, or.
Okay. How long have you been doing this type of art?
Since 2013, so only 6 years.
Okay.
I never did any artwork before. My first job was a metal fabricator working in a factory.
Okay.
And that's when I learned how to work with metal and welding and.
So do you work with anything besides metal?
No, just metal. I like just metal, and I have some photography. I like photography, but it's like just more like for just for pleasure.
Okay.
I took pictures over the years in different locations in the U.S., different touristic spots, or just where I've been, but that's about it.
What kind of metal is this?
No, I worked with, this is mild steel, but I worked with copper or stainless steel mostly.
Oh, okay. Is it hard to weld? I mean,
No, it's the same. Except you need different gas to weld stainless steel than mild steel, but it's the same tool and it's just a different gas and a different wire. Yeah.
Oh,
But
interesting.
it's not. The process is the same.
Okay. Anything else you want to share with us about any of these pieces?
I don't know. I guess you can see me also on Etsy and on Saatchi Art if that is okay.
Etsy and Saatchi Art. Well, thanks so much for being part of our shows.
Thank you.
Beverly Curtis, and she's doing this. She has done this beautiful pottery behind us. Welcome, Beverly.
Thank you.
Tell us about your pots. What inspires you to create these beautiful pieces?
Well, I first touched clay. My grandma brought me to a woodland place where there was a road cut and there was clay in there, and so she introduced me to clay when I was about 7. And I got more into it in high school. I had a really good art teacher. And then I just kind of took off from there and continued to do it. And most potters will tell you that once you've touched clay and you're a potter, that's about, you have to keep doing it.
Okay. Well, you do some lovely pieces, and I see that there's a lot of flowers represented in your pieces. Is that something that inspires you?
Yeah, well, I was going to say for my raku, but also the functional work, and I do a lot of wood fire too lately. I really love nature themes, and translating them onto pots and in the round is fun for me.
Well, they're certainly lovely. So what inspired you to enter our show?
Well, I came to the last reception, and there was such a wonderful lecture, and the art was so wonderful. And I actually was in one of the Gresham art shows probably 8 or 10 years ago. And it was fun. I don't know why I never did it again, but I know there's not many potters in Gresham. And so I wanted to, shake it up a little bit and get some 3D pieces in.
Well, we're certainly glad that you entered this time.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about your work or these particular pieces?
I don't know. I thought they were somewhat out of the box, and especially the blue bamboo, which the glazing part for me is the most interesting. This is a technique I call, it was taught to me when I was traveling around Spain. They do something called cuerda seca, dry line. So cuerda seca is drawing a pattern on in a black wax and then using that as definition for your pieces, and then glazing, and the wax repels the glaze, and so you get distinct lines, and you could make descriptive work. So
that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
being part of our show and sharing that information
It's my
with
pleasure.
us.
Thank
Okay. with Linda Lee Frazier, and she did this lovely piece of the rooster. Linda Lee, can you tell us a little bit about the media of this piece?
It's a soft pastel reductive process, so it's a very different process for most pastels. You begin by sketching out your subject and adding just a little bit of color so that you leave about 2/3 of the paper white. And then you add on top of it a soft color. And then you do the craziest thing ever. You rub it really hard with your hand and you smear it all up so it's a total mess. And you kind of wonder why you did that. And then you carefully take your time to pull away the soft pastel on top and reveal the color underneath. And you use rags and different kinds of erasers and all that's kind of different process of pulling away. And then you can add a little bit back in and then you spray fix it and then you do it again. And I chose on this one to, when I got to the black, I did that as my second piece. I chose to keep the black just where the feathers were going to be because I didn't want to make the rest of the piece darker. I was happy with the way it was. So then I pulled away the feathers that make the black sparkle, and it was my first time doing it, so it was kind of when we have outside the box, I really gave you a piece that's totally outside of my media because I usually work either in mosaics or in watercolors. So this was outside the box for me.
Well, it worked. It turned out perfectly. It's
Thank
just
you.
Beautiful.
It was a lot of fun.
Good. So how long have you been doing art?
When I was growing up in middle school, I had this wonderful art teacher, and I wanted to grow up and be an art teacher. So I was doing a lot of art then, and then I kind of got pulled away from it because I kind of felt like somebody who didn't like my work, and I kind of stopped. And then Annie Painter is one of the well-known artists in the area, inspired me as I was going to learn to do it to teach kids, and I started back again and took every watercolor artist teacher that's in the area and then just kind of began to explore from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you do lovely work, so I'm so
Thank you.
glad you got back into it.
Thank you.
What are some things that inspire you? Like kind of
Portraits, landscapes, and animals, mainly. Yeah. My other piece in this is an abstract piece. That was twice out the side the box for me because I'm not really comfortable with contemporary, and you just kind of got to let loose. So it takes the OCD out of me and makes me loosen up a little bit.
that too turned out to be beautiful. Yeah. It's a beautiful piece. So is this the first time you've been in one of the Gresham Art Committee shows, or have you entered before?
Yes.
Oh.
I've kind of thought if I wanted to a couple of times, but I just never took the time to find out when to get it in, and this time I did.
Oh, well, we're so glad that you did. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like our viewers to know about this piece or your other, or just your work in general?
No, but thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Yeah, we're glad, and we look forward to seeing you in future shows.
Okay, thank you.
Simeon Bassett with me here. He's done this lovely piece called Tree of Imagination. What made you decide to do this piece of work?
Well, I really like nature and colors, and I figured that since the show is called Outside the Box, I would do an outside the box nature painting. So this is what came up in my mind when I was imagining what to make.
I love the colors.
Thank you.
Do you do a lot of painting?
Well, this is only my second painting, but now I've gotten into it more.
Oh, great. Would love to have you in future shows.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like us to know about this painting? What kind of paint did you use on it?
I used acrylic on canvas, and I used a sponge to make this, and only a little brushes, and my tubes to make these lines.
Wow. So about how long did it take you to create that?
About 3 hours, maybe.
Wow,
3 and
20
a half.
hours, yeah. Oh, good. Thank you so much for speaking with me today.
You're
You did a
welcome.
great job, and thanks for entering the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We're here with Janet Sears, one of an artist who enters frequently, and she's got a beautiful piece called Hay. It's a photograph. Janet, tell us about this piece.
Well, that's a photograph of a barn on our farm that is over 100 years old. The barn is falling apart. It won't be here much longer. But they got the hay out of it, and it's about to cave in.
So is that why you entered it in the Outside the Box show?
Yeah, because you want to be standing outside the box when it falls down.
And you do a lot of photography. How long have you been doing that?
Since I was about 10 years old, and I got a little camera. I think it was a Brownie camera.
Yes, I remember those.
And I been practicing for several years.
Yeah.
I'm doing artwork for my whole life, and I'm thinking about putting it all into a book, compiling all my artwork into a book while I still can.
That's a terrific idea. Have you come up with the name for the book?
Oh, yeah, but I was thinking maybe calling it Delusions of Grandeur. Because, I don't do art for the money. I just do it because I like doing it.
So what are some things that inspire you to take a photograph?
Oh, to make the world more beautiful. And I've got some artwork over at the local cow restaurant in Gresham on Main Street.
Okay.
There's a picture of some cows in a barn.
Okay.
Yeah, I painted it specially for the restaurant.
I've seen that picture. I was just there last week.
Oh, yeah, I did. I let them have it.
Okay, great. Anything else you'd like our viewers to know about this particular piece or any of your other work?
Not really. It just keeps evolving over time, and I probably won't stop until I'm dead in a grave.
Well, we're so glad that you enter the Gresham Art Committee art shows because we like your work.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks for being here
having me.
today. Okay. I'm here with Bill Thurfelder. He's entered in a number of art shows through our committee. And I'm so glad you're here today, and you have something that's a little different than some of the other entries you've done. Tell us about these collages.
Yeah, this is a little different. I decided this year for this show outside, it's out of the box, that I created 2 collages based on some of my childhood memories. I was, when I was a little kid, a little space geek. I loved everything about outer space and the planets and Flash Gordon and stuff. I'm dating myself with that, but anyway. And so what I did here was I created these, every piece in here, every little section of the collage are snippets of old magazines, Buck Rogers, pulp magazines, NASA, and I just put it all together, as well as some of my own artwork in here that had to do with the stars, and I just mixed it together and created something that I think is lots of fun, and it is for me out of the box.
Well, it's really great.
Thank you.
So tell me, aside from the moon landing and the space stuff, what else inspires you to create? Because you're so creative and you seem to like color a lot.
Yeah. Which was, by the way, this is another departure for me, because this is almost black and white compared to my other works, which are very, very colorful. For me, probably the biggest inspirations are music and nature. And, just trying to see them in new ways. Or I'll be listening to a piece of music and I'll just start drawing, or I'll start making one of these collages. I always have something musical going when I'm making this, so those are really 2 of the really big inspirations. But these 2 particularly allowed me that other great love of mine, I'm a space geek.
And it's nice that there's a place for it.
Yeah, and thanks to Gresham, I can show them, so that's great.
Right. How long have you been doing art?
Probably started somewhat half seriously, probably when I was a kid, and then probably in the mid-1990s, I really started to seriously produce pieces, and then by the early 2000s I started showing in galleries in New York and Long Island, and then when I moved here to Portland, thanks to the committee here, I started showing here, and hopefully we'll get some other places to exhibit too.
Right. Okay, great. Anything else you'd like our viewers to know about your work? The other pieces that you've been creating?
No, just that I love doing this, and it's, for me, it's like another language. Some people speak French. I speak art. I speak music. I speak writing. I have different languages that I speak, and this is one way that I express myself, that I communicate.
Right. Well, we're so glad that we've stumbled upon you, and it's great to have you part of the show.
Oh, it's great. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Bill. I'm here with committee member Leo Hartshorn, who's also an artist. And so, Leo, tell us about this piece that's behind me. It's so unusual.
These are recent pieces that I've done that are polymer clay on a sketchbook with acrylic paint on them. And I saw the idea about how to do journals and sketchbooks using polymer clay, and I wanted to give it a try, so this is one of the examples of my first attempts at trying to do three-dimensional. I usually do one-dimensional art, so this is a first.
Well, it certainly turned out well, and you wouldn't know it was your first attempt.
Yeah,
so.
well, thank you.
Yeah, but you do a lot of different types of art. So what's your inspiration?
My inspiration, well, it's, I would say, what I call lowbrow art. I'm going to do the presentation on that this evening. But it's more popular culture images and things that I've experienced from Southern California and all of my life. And I take those and incorporate those into my artwork. That's what stimulates me.
How long have you been doing this?
Well, I would say probably since I was very young. I mean, there were the influences there. Then started really getting into art in high school, and then wanted to go on to college and then to art school. So it's been that interest. But more recently, there's been a resurgence in the 90s of lowbrow art, and that's what has captured my attention most recently.
Okay. So, as I mentioned, Leo is a member of the art committee. What prompted you to join the Gresham Art Committee?
Well, since I retired, I wanted to connect with the community, and since my interest is in art, and I heard about the Gresham Art Committee, I thought I'd connect and volunteer and be a part of with how the community relates to art. So that was my connection there.
Well, we're so appreciative of your being on board and being part of our shows.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like the public to know about this piece or your other pieces?
I think they speak for themselves. They're, a little bit different. That's why I wanted to enter in this show outside the box, because my artwork is kind of outside the box.
It is, but we love it. Thanks, Leo.
Thank you.